So my presentation seems to have been timed very well because while Priya spoke about the big vision for Metaverse, I'm going to double click and speak about how brands and businesses can get started with it today. There's so much of chatter around Metaverse. One of the questions that I get asked the most is, this is our business, this is our brand, where do we start today? Yeah, so I'm going to sort of, at the cost of oversimplifying this, say the following. Metaverse is nothing but a shift from the way we experience internet today, which is 2D internet, which is sort of a collection of texts and images and videos. Move this to experience internet in 3D and immersive environments, right? Unlike popular belief, which is people think that Metaverse is a technology, it's really only talking about this shift of experiencing internet in an immersive environment. Now, when you sort of step back and look at Web 3.0, while there's no singular definition of Web 3.0 really, but it is broadly referring to the shift in technology and in the way we're going to experience internet, right? Whether we speak about decentralization, backed by blockchain technology, which will sort of ensure that there's no one entity holding all your data, ownership of digital assets, so on and so forth. Whether we speak about ubiquity, where devices are connected, there's so much more data, we're in a data-rich environment, which then feeds into machine learning and artificial intelligence, allowing for a much more intelligent experience for the end customer, and Metaverse, right? So I'm going to segue into Metaverse because while all of this is a lot of technology, for the end consumer, the immersion, the rich graphic environment that you're going to experience is in highlight, right? So, like I said, for the consumer, it's 3D content, it's immersive content. It can be applied for various industries. So, can definitely be applied in e-commerce, speak about media, speak about education, speak about travel, gaming, of course. So, a lot of applications possible even today in Metaverse. And we are experiencing it right now. So, you're talking about, oh, do I need a headset? Is it okay if I just use my phone? So, a 3D immersive experience can be experienced on web, can be even experienced using your phone through AR, and can, of course, be experienced using headsets. A lot of big tech companies are invested. So, what we know is it's only a matter of time. We had Priya speak about what Meta is doing. Apple headsets. We are speaking about Microsoft Teams experimenting with 3D collaborations. And then this is sort of a video that went viral a few months ago where the Apple 3D scanner can actually scan your environment and create 3D content. And we're going to need a lot of that, right? We're going to need that technology because we're going to have developers and creators create 3D content at scale to make Metaverse, sort of for us to experience Metaverse in this full glory. Now, like I said, what I want you to take away from this presentation is what can I do today? What is available for me today? Where can I start today as a business or a brand? Now, the fact of the matter is, while all of these investments are underway and there's a lot of work happening for us to experience Metaverse the way we want to experience Metaverse, the reality is we don't have the infrastructure today, So, the graphic cards, for example, I mean, some of you would have seen this, the Metaverse fashion show that happened, a few months ago. A lot of people spoke about how the experience was not that great, right? Because infrastructurally, we are not there yet. But that doesn't mean we can't start somewhere. So where can we start? We start at building 3D content, okay? As a business, start thinking about building 3D content. 3D content, 3D content, 3D content. Now, why do I say this? Because you have immediate applications of 3D content in your business. Now, for example, when we speak about e-commerce, now this is something that we did for a footwear brand called Chappers, and it's a true omni-channel experience where you can, on the web and in-store, choose the style of the footwear, the color, the buckle, the leather, right, and place an order. And also look at it from the perspective of sustainability, for example, right? Like you place an order and then it goes into manufacturing. I love this use case by IKEA again. Simple 3D content, which is sort of integrated into e-commerce, where you can see furniture in your live environment, and I think there is tremendous value to that. Now, another application that you can do right away is what I call as meta site, which is nothing but a 3D website. Now, think about it as, if you are inviting someone to your global headquarters, what is the kind of experience that you would want them to have in 3D immersive experience, in a 3D immersive environment? You invite them, it's a first-person POV, show them your product, show them the experiences. Now, this entire thing today can be published on the internet and experienced on the web and potentially also seen on your phone. So there's no loss of quality really. It's a simple use case of creating a 3D website, and this is potentially where you can start. Now, we spoke about augmented reality in the previous presentation. Now, this is what we call as an AR portal, yeah? So once you've created an immersive environment for your brand, using your phone, this can be enabled in Spark AR as well. Using your phone, it just allow it to scan the surface, and then you can physically enter an immersive environment, right? So for example, you can have all these sort of, gamified ways of entering the Metaverse using AR, right? So one use case that we are building now for a very large e-commerce brand is we are building a flea market immersive environment, and we are gamifying the flea market once the user enters the Metaverse using AR. So really, once you understand what the technology can do, it's a matter of using your imagination to find applications. Now, this is another use case that we did actually a few years ago for Burjeel Hospitals, where it gamified your own environment, right? So where the logo was the marker, you pointed at the marker, you have butterflies flying in the environment, you tap on the butterfly and it unlocks offers and you go and sort of redeem those offers, right? So very simple use case of just simply gamifying the environment that you're already in. Now, these are the kind of experiences that you would have seen a lot of, right? Like you have, the face filters, and then you have these games where you move your head and, you're sort of answering questions and you get points. One of the challenges that most brands came to us with is that beyond this experience, right, what's in it for my customer? Because if the experience is really cool, then, there's some shareworthiness as well. People would share it on their profiles, and then there'll be some virality. But what next, right? So I've had brands and businesses who are investing in creating these filters, but then the shelf life is limited. So what do? How do you get them to keep coming back for more? Now, which is where we started to lead some of these experiences to loyalty. So you go, you play the game, and then you DM us your score, and we build your score back into loyalty, which will help the user keep coming back to experience your brand more number of times. Delight is endless, right? Now, there's so much that you can do with 3D content and delighting your customer. So this is again something that we're building for Toys R Us in India, where the mascot, every time you have a delivery of the toy at home, the mascot will sort of come up and, maybe do a little dance, talk to you, right? So, and we're trying to build this for multiple products, right? So imagine the number of experiences that we can create using 3D content. Again, imagine you're walking into a hypermarket and there is a prompt that asks you to just open perhaps your Instagram and use the marker, which could be potentially the packaging, and this is sort of how you can experience delight, right? You've experiences coming out of the packaging, telling you more about probably the source of the product or just something that's gamified. Now, on the left, for example, one of the campaigns we ran for Astor was, we wanted to tell them that when you order for medicines online, our delivery agent is always next to you. So we built this 3D delivery agent, and you could see him in your own environment, right? So that's the kind of stuff that you can do. Then of course character plays, so face filters, character plays. In this case, Masked Singer, you could use any of the masks from the Masked Singer and sing along for famous Lebanese series called Orus Beirut. You could use characters' faces and then mouth their favorite dialogues, or even posters where you could place your own face instead of the celebrity face and share it online, right? So all of this is what's possible for brands to do today. But beyond all of this, there's a very simple use case which we perhaps have not explored fully. There's so much of content out there on social media. How do you create thumb-stopping content, right? So simply using 3D content on your feeds can do the job for you. This is how 3D content can actually help you get your higher click-through rates and higher engagement rates, right? Simple use case of creating 3D content and putting it out on your social media platforms. And we get about, on record, almost 26 to 28% higher CDRs and engagement on all of this content. Yeah, so essentially, all marketing applications of Metaverse today will begin with 3D content, right? So that's the bottom line. And therefore, 3D content is a building block for what you're going to see or experience as Metaverse, and that's the best place to start. And this is another point I want to make while we are discussing Metaverse and we're saying we want to look at places where we can find inspiration on how your brand story on Metaverse can really unfold. Remember that Metaverse should do what you can't do in a physical world, right? That's the most important. I have this little example of how Walmart tried to imagine shopping in Metaverse. I'm not sure if they launched it, but I brought this example out is because what you really see somebody doing here is that the environment is exactly the way it is when you actually walk into a store, and there's nothing new that the environment is giving me, right? But imagine that you're actually going and buying vegetables and you're able to go and buy it from, let's say, a farm, or a dairy product from a dairy, right? So those are just examples, but the point I'm trying to drive here is that when you think about Metaverse, remember that you've got to think of Metaverse as something that goes beyond what your audiences are able to experience in the real world. Yeah? So that's what Metaverse can do for you, so focus there. Now, bringing this down to distribution. So because the other question that gets asked is, we'll invest in building all of this, and how are people going to discover us, or what is it going to mean, what is the ROI, so those things start to get discussed the moment you want to make an investment. So gaming is by far the most mature form of Metaverse we know today. So clearly, if you want to take inspiration, this is a great place for you to take inspiration from. Within games is one distribution channel, of course. So you have Nike Land on Roblox. Okay, so great way of sort of capturing their audiences young, integrating seamlessly into Roblox. Or even, for example, Star Wars launched this trailer on Fortnite. So games itself are a huge, high potential distribution channel. Yeah, so if it fits in well with your target audience, this clearly is your high potential distribution channel. But beyond that, this is sort of a cheat sheet that I have where you can look at 3D content can be experienced on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. And whether each of these platforms enable organic discovery or would need to be led by paid promotions. Can you capture analytics to really go and say that there was so much more time spent on my website or on my 3D assets, right? So what each of these platforms, whether it's social media, whether it's web AR, whether it's a native app through which you're enabling 3D content and immersive experiences, or gaming platforms, right? How do you get discovered? where do you need to pay, and what kind of analytics are available to you, right? So you have this comprehensive sheet that can tell you that. So very clearly when you sort of enter, you can enter with some KPI, some direction in terms of what I will get out of this, yeah? So in summary, invest in creating a 3D library of 3D content for above mentioned use cases, experiment and gather learnings, get a first mover advantage in the area, become future proof with a strong 3D content strategy. While decentralized infrastructure, etc. might take a while to really come up, consumer facing immersive 3D experiences can be created today. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you very much.